Hi viewers. So yet again, we are meeting another video presentation as a panel discussions based on the literature, based on the English literature. That is the one of the optional subject that the children, those who are offering for their O-level, GCE O-level examination, right, 2022. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Mr. Panelists Johnson, an in-service advisor for English attached to the Colombo Zonal Education Office at present. This is something, another video, the panel discussion that we are going to present, right, for the purpose of helping, right, or providing as a resource to the children, those who are offering literature from all the nook and corner of our country. Especially the finding a resource for learning literature is a little bit difficult, especially for the children, those who are coming from the suburbs. So this is going to be a resource, right, for them to prepare themselves for the oncoming exam. So the last year, so we had such a discussion with my children on the poetry, right? On the poetry, all the five the categories of the poetries were discussed, and the children, they were presenting their views that was used, right? And also proudly say it got more than 1,000 views, right? So that shows how much it is important, and it is very much needed for the children as a resource, and the people, those who expected this. So yet again, so we are meeting once, but this time, so we thought of doing choosing the questions, the different types of questions that can be expected for your final exam, and the response that is given by my students, right? So those are presented here. First of all, it's my pleasure to introduce my children, right? First of all, Jaganya Vijeyakumar. She is a student of Ramanathan Ladies College, and she is offering the English Literary Appreciation as one of her basket subject here. And second, Fedrina, the Fedrina Felician, right? Actually, it is the second panel. But the last time also, when she was in grade 10, she was taking part, right, when so we were doing the poetry, but this time she is also so going to be a part of this panel, as she is coming from St. Mary's College, Trincomalee, the Eastern Province. And the third one, Ramanan Keshigan, and he is it is the first time he's also offering literature. Yeah, the English Literary Appreciation as his basket subject. He belongs to the Althea International, right? Althea International School, which is in Colombo. Third one, the fourth child is Hana Careem. She belongs to the Methodist Girls College, which is in Colombo 3. And the fifth one, the Hudha Haleem Ishak, right? Actually, she is coming from the central province, right? The Akurana Muslim Balika Vidyalaya. So all these, the 5 talented children, so they are going to say something about the Vendor of Sweets, right? The Vendor of Sweets, the one of the novel that is prescribed for in our anthology, right? In the anthology. So the Vendor of Sweets, which is offered, which is a choice which is chosen by most of the schools, right? Most of the schools and most of the children, the preferred of taking this, right? So we are going to discuss, right, some expected questions based on Vendor of Sweets only. So even realizing actually it is not any economical purpose that we are publishing this, or the name purpose, right? It is only the resource for the children only, right? The children, those who are not able to get any resources, right, for pursuing their education or preparing themselves for the oncoming exam, right, this year, right? So by understanding our intention, right, it's better as much as possible, children, if you feel it's a good resource, then you can share it, right? You can share it. It is going to be published in the YouTube, right? Then so you can share my video from the YouTube, so as much as possible, as long as until it reaches the places wherever it is very much needed. All right, so before starting this, right, before starting the question that is very much connected, right, connected with the theme, and also the characterization of the vendor of sweets, right? So Jaganya, so your question is, right, who do you believe as useful ideas about Indian society, right? Who do you believe has the useful ideas about Indian society? Is it Mali or Jagan?
Yeah, sir, thank you. So as far as the novel, which is Vendor of Sweets, is concerned, we can make sure that there are main two characters, who is Mali, who is Jagan, and his son Mali. So as far as throughout the plot, there we can see that whole the Mali and Jagan, both having some kind of new idea and also some kind of old ideas, as Mali is belonging to the new generation, and also Jagan, the person who is old age, belongs to the old generation. Their ideologies completely different and against each other. As Jagan and Mali both with modern and old ideologists, we can see Mali, who is the one who is getting attracted towards the foreign and American culture, while the Jagan, who is a patriot, who is completely supporting the Indian culture, which is considered as completely developing throughout the way. And here we can say that Mali is completely towards the American culture, and also some kind of plots which is proving that the way he gone there, like he was trying his much as possible as hard to go to the America, and also his dressing sense after returning from the America, and also he literally advises his father to follow some kind of American traditions like eating beefs, and also he's supporting the way that being together without getting married with grace. But still, here when Jagan is concerned as an old age and also the person who is completely towards into the Indian society, we can make sure through his acts like he is follower of Gandhi, and also whenever he gets stressed, he is literally reading Bhagavad Gita and towards supporting it. And also we can see that while he was saying himself that he is a follower of Gandhi, he is literally making and wearing his own sets of dress, and also he gave up salt, sugar, and all those kind of unwanted things. And also he is telling cousin that he wanted his son to be a MBA and he wanted his son to represent the India. And those kind of things make sure that Jagan wanted to support the Indian society. But as far as the question is concerned, who has more useful ideas toward the Indian society? Here we can make sure even Mali has some kind of ideas like storytelling machine or the kind of new ideas, but still all of them are inspiring the new modern generation. But still they are against the concept and society myths of India. While Jagan is concerned, all his old age ideas, which is literally making aware of vagrants, and he told it about in the chapter 2, and also keeping the home still ancestral, even though there are many kind of luxurious acts were happen, and also thinking about the temples whenever he gets stressed, all kind of things are still even old. They are literally supporting the Indian society. So as far as the question is concerned, as who is having useful ideas towards the Indian society, I will support the Jagan as far as these reasons are considered. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Jaganya. Right, it's about the Indian society, right? Even as far as the novel is concerned. So those two characters, right? In my question that I asked about the Indian society, right? So the Mali as the protagonist, even the Jagan is taken as an antagonist, right? So first of all, even who, right, supports more, right, or has got useful ideas about the Indian society. So in order to know, right, Indian society is something connected with mostly the traditional and cultural, right? So keeping the cultural values as their soul, isn't it? As their soul and all, right? Even the unorthodox, right, the conventional ways of living, right? So they have put their own restrictions and rules and regulations, right, for their lifestyle or whatever they do, right? So it is cultural oriented or traditional oriented society, But in your opinion, so you strongly believe, right? Jagan is that means the protagonist is the character who has more ideas about the Indian conventional and conservative society, right? So very well done. Very nicely presented, Jaganya. Thank you very much. Okay, right then, so first of all, we have seen about the characterizations, right? From the point of view of Jaganya, right? So actually she believes, right? The Jagan is the person who is carrying over, right? Who is carrying over the traditional values or the traditional norms of the Indian society, right? Okay, very, very nicely presented. And even when these characters are presented, right, as long as we are going deeper into the novel, so we come across, right, even R.K. Narayan some idea. Now he has some idea, right, by presenting the most controversial oppositions, isn't it? As in the name of characters, right? The most controversials and the controversial characters, opposite characters like Jagan and Mali, right? But actually, even he should have some idea in his mind, right? Even by presenting it as a novelist, actually he wanted to bring forward, or he wanted to portray something, or bring out something from the readers, right? From the readers. So therefore, he should have something in his mind, right? Something in his mind. So my second question, right, is for Fedrina, right? Actually, Fedrina, so do you think, what would you think, or just do you believe the author R.K. Narayan, right, is an optimist?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, why and why not? Okay, so you can come out with your own view, right? So you can accept or don't refuse, right? It's up to you.
It's an interesting topic, sir, but personally, I heartily agree that R.K. Narayan, the author of the novel of Vendor of Sweets, is an optimist at heart. When considering the way the novel was written, there are many serious ideologies put forward in his writing, which is mostly focused on the humanitarian issues that prevailed in the 1960s. It is very evident in his writing that he was confident enough to put forward his revolutionary ideas, even though he must have known that such notions could receive backlash from the traditional society that was present in India at the time. R.K. Narayan is often called the Gandhi of modern literature, and there are several proofs in the Vendor of Sweets that point towards the fact that R.K. Narayan was definitely an optimist. For example, the novel was written in the post-colonial era, where India had just begun to develop itself right after its independence. There were many problematic matters in that society, especially with the way they treated women. Gender equality was something that wasn't even considered in those days, which is portrayed expertly through his writing. And this is displayed by showing the differences between the life of Ambika and Grace, two main characters in the novel, whereas the latter had more freedom to do what she wanted to do and go where she desired without restrictions. And Ambika, on the other hand, was raised in a very conservative manner and faced many issues after she married Jagan. For example, she was called a barren woman when she couldn't bear a child, and her mother-in-law kept mentally torturing her, reminding her of the dowry that was given during her marriage. There are so many examples that strengthens this fact. And when comparing and contrasting the above-mentioned Ambika and Grace, we can realize that R.K. Narayan did indeed express his values about gender equality in a time it wasn't even bothered about. And next, if we look at the main intention of R.K. Narayan, we can see it is to say how independent India could become. But it was still struggling in the clutches of foreign forces that wanted to leach out the natural resources from India. Using Mali and his foreign collaboration as a metaphor, he brings out how India should become free of the chains put upon by other countries and use its invaluable natural resources to become a formidable force on its own account. And furthermore, he also touches upon some other issues present in the South Indian society, like the caste system and the impact of tradition on the society. He shows Mali against the backdrop of Jagan, who breaks all the barriers that society put upon him and follows the Western traditions that goes against the very ideologies of his father. Through all this, we are exposed to how R.K. Narayan doesn't directly speak about those humanitarian issues I mentioned before. Rather, he uses his characters and the sequence of events of his lengthy plot to depict the issues of the Indian society. Further, it is very clear in his writing that he believes that though change isn't immediately possible, he is extremely expectant about how India could change in the future. And though his wishes haven't fully happened as of today, India has improved greatly in all fields and has developed to a point where it has now become a leading force in all of the countries that are now developed. And if we use all of this as evidence, we can conclude that R.K. Narayan was indeed an optimist. Thank you, sir.
All right, so very nicely analyzed, right? Even so, you justified your points with your points, saying R.K. Narayan is an optimist. I too agree with you, Fedrina. Even as a writer, definitely, actually, they should have something in their mind, especially the leading writers from India, right? So, when we look at the R.K. Narayan's intention, right? Actually, we should think anything directly he said, right? Anything he directly said or revealed in the whole novel, right? From the beginning towards the end, so we can find. So nothing is brought out openly, right? Actually, the class of R.K. Narayan is making the readers to understand, what his intention is, right? Actually, so as at the beginning when we were discussing, right? He presents both the opposite forces together, right? Tradition and modernity, right? The tradition and modernity. Even the Jaganya is presented as the most the traditional, right, and conventional and orthodox person, right, as a protagonist. Whereas his son is completely against of him, right? The Mali, right? Mali comes from even though he belongs to this particular society, but he is completely going away from it, rather than being stick to this traditional society. Actually, he wants to be something away from it. He tries to be modernized in his mannerism, in his the way of dressing and the speeches and the lifestyle. Everything he wanted to change it, right? So the purpose of keeping the opposite forces together, right, in order to bring out a particular theme, that is where we can find the class of R.K. Narayan here, right? He never said anything, right? He never said anything. So the pendulum is in the middle, right? Not moving. The handle moves here or there, right? It stays in the middle only. He never said that traditional. The tradition is the only part, right? The only the initiatives that should be taken by the people in order to get a development, especially for a country. Oh, he never said. On the other hand, he never said anything about the modern, right? The modernism. The modernism is the only thing, right? Actually, so keeping the think, right? The people, they have to be right with their nation, right? Actually, they should strongly believe whatever they have in their nation as resources that can be utilized, right, for the development. So that's a strong belief that he has in his mind, but he never says you have to depend on the traditional values only if you want to keep the country move on, right? So whereas he never said anything about the modernization, even if you want to be modernized, right? Even so keeping, as you said, as Fedrina, you mentioned, right? Even the foreign collaboration, right? Even the Mali, actually his enterprise as the typical experienced businessman, Jagan knows it is going to be a flop, right? But even though Mali is trying to do something, but actually he believes and depends on the foreign collaboration, right? Along with the principal investment from his father, right? The foreign collaboration. But it can be a partnership. So what will happen is, but in Jagan's, the R.K. Narayan's opinion is, right? So we have everything in our hand, right? Why don't we utilize it, right? We have all the resources in our hand, right? That is how our country is becoming, right? It's becoming one of the richest one. Even actually, you should remember, it's written in 1967 to be exact, right? Even latter part of the 1960s, he has that view, right? So his vision, right, the visionary, the force of R.K. Narayan, how much it is proved at present, no? Where is India now, right? It has gone, right? Even it has almost become, right, the third in the world, right? Third in the world, the great force in the world. So this is something that is foreseen and predicted by the writers like R.K. Narayan. So he has the vision in his mind. So that is his, that is why we call him as an optimist, right? He strongly believed, right? If each and every individual of the country, if they believe their country's resources, if they believe the country's values, definitely the country would be on the top. So that is the intention that he had in his mind, and he presented through his characters, right? That's the reason why he presented the characters like Mali and Jagan, right? Mali and Jagan, even the grace is also a part of it. So therefore, as you strongly believed, right? So we can assume he is an optimist, right? He has lots of ideas in his mind, right? In his mind. So he uses the characters of vendor of sweets, the vendor of sweets, to present out his ideas only, right? Even when we talk about the characters, right? As we talk about the characters, these characters, Mali, Jagan, or Grace, right? Actually, he purposely, right, putting them, making them, right, to carry out the plot, right, in order to reach the theme as he expected, right? So when we talk about the characters, right? So this is something that I'm going to ask you, Keshigan, right? So what would you think and about the character's life, the characters presented here, and which character and whose life, right? Whose life in the novel do you consider the most successful one?
Thank you, sir. I prefer Cousin's life is the most successful life. The reason is he is an important and unnamed character in the novel Vendor of Sweets, which was written by the R.K. Narayan. He lives in Malgudi along with Jagan and his son Mali. He is the person who is considered as man around town, as he has contacts with judges, businessmen, advocates, etc. in the village Malgudi. So he is considered as a cousin to every member of Malgudi, but except for Mali, he is considered as an uncle. Just because he is a cousin for everyone, he never shared his personal information to anyone rather than listening to other people's information. He is needed for everyone in the village Malgudi, as he is ready to help anyone at any time. The cousin is a character who stands as a strong bridge between Jagan and Mali, and very often he becomes a crucial element in the clashes between them. He plays well with both Jagan's traditionalist view and Mali's modern idea. It is correct to say that cousin also interferes with the matters such as the clashes between Jagan and Mali as a honest mediator. The cousin is also considered as to be a good friend of Jagan. He is the most faithful and trustworthy friend of Jagan. So whenever Jagan is found in a confusion state, the cousin helps him and tells what does Mali feel. For example, Jagan was in a confusion state as his son Mali did not like to go to school. When Jagan interferes with his cousin, he gets to know that Mali has a plan of being a story writer. So we could say that the cousin has more knowledge about Mali than Jagan. And when Mali was in America, Jagan was eager to say that to the people of Malgudi about Mali's activities when he was in America. But no one was interested in listening to him, as it would become a total time waste for them. Only the character cousin was the person who was interested in hearing the Mali's activities when he was in America. The cousin acts as a supporter of Jagan's business. Every day around 4:30 p.m. in the evening, he comes to the Jagan's sweet shop, tastes all the products, and gives his command whether the sweets are good or not good. He also informs about the rates and qualities of the ingredients Jagan uses for making sweets. At the end of the novel, cousin receives the key of the shop from Jagan to take the responsibility of running the sweet shop business and take care of Mali when the Jagan decides to get a retirement from the society. when Mali was arrested by the police, as if he was caught by drinking alcohol when driving. Cousin becomes as a father of Mali, didn't inform Jagan about the incident, consults a lawyer, and gets advice, takes necessary steps to take Mali from bail. Being with Jagan and Mali, Cousin has made everything which is needed for his life compared with others. Mali isn't successful as he failed to start a new business. Grace isn't successful as she didn't become as a traditional Indian daughter-in-law of Jagan. Jagan isn't successful as he didn't know much about Mali other than Cousin does know. So I guess Cousin's life is the most successful life other than Jagan, Grace, or Mali's life. Thank you.
Oh, lovely. Right. Interestingly, the choice, right? The unexpected choice by Keshigan. But I also strongly believe, right, as far as the success is concerned, when the whole plot, right, even so he justifies the other three characters, right, are considered as defeated characters at the end, right, except the cousin, right? So I strongly believe, and I agree, I 100% agree with you, Keshigan, even that's true, right? Even the cousin, right, actually he travels, right, from the beginning towards the end. He travels with us next to Jagan, right? So we meet him from the first chapter until the last chapter itself, right? The role that he plays, right? The role that he plays as far as the family, Jagan's family is concerned, it's a mediator, right, between father and son. But he is very much needed. He is a man about town, right? So very much needed in the whole town there, right? Wherever, right, almost all the families, right, they need, right, a cousin for some, so whatever the needs of them only, right? So at last, even the three characters, the three main characters, those are presented in the whole the plot that we can say from Jagan, right? He is also a completely defeated the character, right? The defeated character. Even that is the reason why he is going back, right? He is going back for a retreat or the retreat or enlightenment, right? Because actually he is not able to face such challenges in life, right? Especially the domestic issues, right? Started coming from his son and the Grace, right, as so-called daughter-in-law, right? Actually, he is not able to face those. And also, in one more thing that we should consider, even how he was taken by his siblings, right, the brother and sister, when they came to know, right, that Mali has brought a foreign, right, the beef-eating the girl as his wife, right, as Jagan's daughter-in-law. So he was called it, right? So that is mentioned in one of the chapters there in the middle, right? Even so, he was called it because he didn't keep, or he didn't, so he wasn't a good part of with a paternal affection with his son, right? That's the reason why he has become a spoiled one. So they scolded. His brother also scolded, and his sister also wrote that letter, right? So putting all the blame on him. So that is also one thing, because even if they reacted in that way, right, when he came to know, they came to know that he has brought a foreign girl as his wife. But if they come to know they are not married and living in the houses, right, without marrying, living in the same houses, how they would react. So in that part also, he might have thought, right, it is not, right, it is not possible for him to stay and face such the comments and criticism, right, coming out from his own family and the outside also, right, outside also. That may be the reason why he is a failed one. So Mali is completely an outlandish and also the spoiled one, right? The spoiled one because of the modern, the interest, right? The interest, the innovative interest, rather than showing lots of hatredness towards the traditional India or the traditional lifestyle of India, right? So he's also spoiled. He's also spoiled, and he's going to the jail, right? At the last part that we have seen. So he's also a failed or defeated character. That is how he was portrayed at the end, right? So then the remaining, the female character, the Grace, right? actually she is creating a lots of empathy, right, towards the reader's mind, right? Even though she belongs to the foreign culture, right? Actually, she was brought up, right? She was born and brought up in the foreign, the culture, right? The Western culture. But even though she was brought in, right, by Mali promising her that he would marry her in the Indian style, right? And she is indeed very much interested, right, changing herself as the Indian daughter-in-law. But nevertheless, actually, her life is also not fulfilled. She is cheated, right? She is cheated. He is not going to marry her, right? And he is forcing her to go back, And also, she has lost that money, the big amount of money, $2,000, right? By being the part of that so-called business, right? That was initiated by Mali. So she also has to be, right? Her character also has to be taken as the defeated character. So only the character, right, that is traveling from the start towards the end, that is the character of cousin, right? So which is a successful character. That is how he is portrayed. He is portrayed by R.K. Narayan. So at last, he is given the responsibility of running the sweet shop, right, by Jagan, right, when he is going for a retreat. So when comparing, right, comparatively, so we can find the cousin's character is the most successful one, as Keshigan pointed out, right? Thank you, Keshigan. Right. So when we talk about the characters and all, right, right, that's true. Whatever you say, that's true, right? Even apart from the other characters, Jagan is portrayed as the protagonist, right? So when I was discussing about the Keshigan points, right, I was indicating, right? So you would have observed even the cousin is portrayed as the protagonist here, but actually he is also not able to face such challenges or such problems, right? So that's the reason why, right? That's the reason why he has to go away, right? He has to go away from this domestic life, and he wants to find solace for his troubled mind. So he has to go for a retreat. So even the closeness of the bearded man, the Chinnadurai, right? And also his advice, right, would have given him some ideas of going away, right? So from the beginning towards the end, right, until the end, actually he had faced lots of issues, lots of problems, right? Actually, he is unable to bear all these things. It's unbearable pain that he is, or the mental agony that he is experiencing now. So that's the reason why he is leaving for something, right? He is leaving for a retreat, right? So my question is about the character of the protagonist, Jagan. It's for you, Hana. Why does Jagan finally withdraw from the society? Do you think, does it make him happy?
Yes, thank you, sir. So our protagonist, Jagan, is introduced to us as a philosophical and spiritual character, as he's often seen, reading the Bhagavad Gita and quoting various complicated sounding advice in his conversations. So basing off of these surface level characteristics of Jagan, we could assume that he withdrew from society to strengthen his spirituality. But was that really his only motive? Detachment from material aspects in life plays a big role in Hinduism. It generally refers to the state in which a person overcomes their emotional connection or attachment to or desire for things, people, or worldly concerns, and thus attains a heightened perspective. It shows how once you enter the spiritual path, you start letting go of attachments as you get a clear understanding of the illusory nature of the world and mind. We saw how with the help of Chinnadurai, Jagan underwent an internal transformation and started to contemplate the spiritual side of life more. He then started to consider going on a retreat. However, one could wonder if his idea of a retreat was justified by his increasing spirituality, or with his natural response of avoiding his troubles. We know the incidents leading up to Jagan's decision had put him in great distress. While with his domestic issues with Mali and Grace, along with the internal conflict that he had, Jagan was at crossroads with himself. And that conflict that has been building up, the tension between said characters, contributed to the unrest in Jagan's mind. As we are familiar with Jagan's character, we've seen how he notoriously deflects whatever he finds troublesome or uncomfortable. And it can be seen how Jagan activates that same defense mechanism when it comes to dealing with Mali, as he cannot decide on what he wants to do, as he doesn't know as he doesn't want to anger or disappoint the son he adores, neither does he want to be used for his money. So with all of these heavy issues clouding his mind, Jagan, who once lived a simple and frugal life, yearns for peace. Here we can see how he turns to spirituality and religion as an escape from the undesirable reality that he finds himself in. When Jagan came up with the idea of retreating from society, he was looking for ways to leave all of his troubles and clear his mind. Jagan had let go of his sweet shop, his legacy, and even the son that he adored so dearly. Here, the cowardly nature of Jagan is revealed as we see him run away from all of his overwhelming problems. Jagan uses the excuse of retreating from society in order to pursue enlightenment as a way to fabricate his ulterior motive of ignoring all of his issues. However, we can see how this retreat could be successful as he lets go of all of his material and worldly possessions and connections, all except his cash book, and clears his mind. With the lack of troubles clouding his mind, Jagan would be able to lead a peaceful life, which would definitely make him happier than he is at the present. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, very lovely analyzed. Even as you, Hana, mentioned, there are two possibilities, right? For the reason of going for a retreat, right? Going for a retreat. One, sometimes actually, so we can take him, right, as a person who is going for a new janma, right? The new life, or the new life as a because of his the spiritual intention, right? The spiritual intention. That is one point, one reason. But as you justified, that is not the reason for him, right? That's not the reason for him. If he strongly believes, right, as the spirituality, or going and as a being, as a new janma, going for a retreat, so definitely he shouldn't have taken the checkbook with him, when he was going there. So it is concluded, or it is found, the reason actually he is not able to face the challenges or the problems in his life, right? As you justified, that is the truth. That is the truth. Actually, he is going away, right? So first of all, throughout the novel, he was revealed as a cowardly father, right? Until he started talking against, talking against the Mali's conception, right, about that story writing machine. Until then, he was portrayed by R.K. Narayan as a cowardly father. He was not ready to speak even with his own son, right? Own son. So now, even at the end, right, when he is going for a retreat, he is not only a cowardly father, he is portrayed by R.K. Narayan as a cowardly human being, right? The human being in the sense, right, even all the individuals, all the human beings, they have their own problems, or the domestic or their personal problems, right? Even they themselves have to face it, rather than keeping others to face their own challenges and going away, right? So it's just like a cowardice in intention, right, for the people to go. So finally, the Jagan is being portrayed by R.K. Narayan as a cowardly human being also, not only a cowardly father, right, but also he is portrayed as a cowardly human being also, because without facing the challenges, right, scared of facing the problems in life, scared of facing the criticism that the people would shed mud on him, right? So he is going away because of that only. That may be the reason why. So nicely analyzed and justified, Hana. Thank you. Right now, Okay, when we talk about all those things, right? All those things, right? The characters and all, right? We have seen something about the cousin. We have seen something about Jagan, and we know, right, about the Mali's character and all. But only one character creates a lots of sympathy towards our mind and also the reader's mind, right? That is the character that was introduced as the foreigner, right? As a foreigner. Only one female character, the active female character next to Ambika, right? The female character. So the character is also playing the major role, right, in developing the plot, right? Developing the plot and reaching out the themes and all, thematic concern, all, right? Everything. So the character of the Grace, I mean, right? Grace is very important, right? Very important in the flow of the plot and the final outcome, right? The final idea that is presented, the final intention that is presented by R.K. Narayan. So my question is to Hudha, right? It's about the role of Grace, right? What role does Grace playing in the novel? What is the role exactly she is playing in the novel?
Thank you, sir. The character of Grace has a major impact on the life of Jagan as well as Mali in the story. So after the demise of Ambika, Grace is the one who brought the feminine touch to the ancestral house of Jagan. So feminine touch imparted in one's surrounding. So this statement shows the importance of women in every family. So Grace is the half American and half Korean girl who is introduced to us, the readers, as the wife of Mali, which made Jagan feel stunned and embarrassed because after hearing the news that his one and only son is married to a Western girl without his prior knowledge or permission. Unless being an American girl, she possesses a remarkable quality of adaptability and making adjustment which change the which is according to the situations. She doesn't feel aghast at the totally different social and ethical scenarios of the village Malgudi. Although she is being an American girl, she never possesses a quality of arrogant or poshness in front of Jagan. Instead, she respects him and also she loves him as she marvels with the joy in whatever she sees, and also she find interest in the new place where she came. Even her flexibility of knowing the traditions and cultures of India, she was able to overcome a challenge of getting close to Jagan, who is a traditionalist. Also, by being a daughter-in-law, she possessed all her daily domestic chores very well and treated Jagan with concern, and also she respected him, and she also called Jagan as father, which was the word which is never used by Mali with any affection. So this way of addressing of Grace made Jagan loves her more, and she won the heart of Jagan as well. So Grace is also a girl who loves the Indian culture, and she tries to learn from her friend Dr. Kurvila's daughter. So she learns about her from adoring and thresholding the floor with flower designs, and she also washed the doorsteps on Fridays, which is considered to be an auspicious day. And also she decorates her hair with jasmine flowers too. So these depicts us the love for Grace towards the Indian cultures. Furthermore, she is also skillfully managed and also break through the frozen relationship of father and son. The distant and dysfunctional relationship of Jagan and Mali was repaired by Grace by herself. Also, her sincerity and humanity has successfully broken the ice between the father and son. Also, she builds a bridge. She also built a bridge of easy communication between them, and also her boldness, sincerity were proven once she revealed that the disclosure that she is not married to Mali. But at the same time, on the other hand, she has become a victim of Mali's deceitful tricks. and Mali, who promised her to marry her according to the Indian rituals and customs, he cheated her at the last. Also, he took $2,000 off from her, and now he wants to send her back to America. He ignores her, and also he tries to kick her off from their house. But Jagan is not like that. He wants to be grateful for Grace, as she is the one who both made Jagan thrill and happy at any times. And she is the one who calls him as a father with many affections. And Jagan gets upset over Grace when she do not attend his room. And sometimes he asks questions like, where is she? Why is she going to go? Is she unhappy? So these were caused due to the humanly bond gracefully concreted by her between Jagan and Grace. But at the end, the character of Grace becomes a cheated one. She has been fooled by Mali and ignored by him too. Even though he loves to become a Hindu Orthodox wife and also a daughter-in-law, she was unable to become. She was completely neglected by him, and she don't have a future anymore. Her dreams were buried and her happiness were demolished, and now she has nothing to do, and at the very end she is being the tragic character in the plot. Thank you.
Oh, so beautifully presented, Hudha. That's very nice. Very nicely analyzed the character of Grace, right? As true. Whatever you said is true, right? Actually, we have seen her as the character, right? Actually, very important character that is used by R.K. Narayan to carry out the plot, right? That's true. And also, that is the neglected character too, right? The neglected and cheated character too, right? Actually, as you mentioned, she is used to break the ice between the father and son. That's true. That's 100% true, right? Actually, she is there. But the closeness of Grace was very much needed, right? By each and every people, each and every the characters in the story. She is very much needed, right? Even especially for Jagan, right? She has never been called as father. He has never been called as father, even so when after the death of Ambika, right? Actually, he never. Mali never called him, right, as father thereafter. But so that was desperately needed for him, when she called him. Actually, the reaction of Jagan, that was beautifully revealed, right? How much it was needed, right? So that is something that she was needed for Jagan also, right? But at the beginning, she was needed to Mali too, right? She was needed for Mali too, but actually, finally, that the way that he reacted towards her, right? The promise which is broken, right? As he would marry her in the Indian rituals by using Indian rituals and Indian style. So that was not there, right? Even so, taking out her money also, right? $2,000 money, and now she is asked to go back, right? That shows, right? How what a negative the quality the Mali has got, right? Especially the character of the Grace is concerned, right? So finally, the character, the Grace creates a lot of sympathies, right? Sympathies in our mind, but that was completely analyzed about the character of Grace, right, by Hudha. Thank you, right? Thank you, Hudha, and thank you everyone for your time. It's so precious, right? The precious time that you spent for us, right? So spent for me especially, right? With the hectic timetable and having classes and all, right? But you're spending so much of time here. But it's up to you. It's my request to all the viewers who are watching this video, right? So it's a pure humanity. There's a pure generosity, right? That these children they brought, right? Because they wanted to see you all, right? They wanted to give you all or provide you all something, right? For carrying out the learning on this novel, and also so their intention is to make you all to find this as a proper resource, right? So keep that in mind. So this is the novel which carries almost 1/4, right? 1/4 of the whole marks, right? 25 marks you are getting for this, right? So I say 25 and the B part, the context 10. So therefore, make use of this resource and listen to it, right? The different topics, right? The expected topics that can be in your paper, right? The expected different, the various topics were analyzed, and they have given the beautiful points for you to note it down. So make use of it and listen to it, right? And watch this video and listen to it. And if it is possible, share it as much as possible to your colleagues, right? And to the people, those who are needed, right? In YouTube or whatever the platform that you are engaged in, right? That is the gratitude that you can show to these little ones, right? And once again, my dear children, thank you so much for your precious time and spending and making this panel as a beautiful one, as a most precious and useful one. Definitely, so you'll be rewarded, right? You will be rewarded by your generosity, right? For your generosity. Thank you so much. I'll meet you once again. Until then, bye. Bye for today.